sure. I am literally incapable of keeping completely silent, and I know that. And so does everyone around me. Hi, I'm Kate, and welcome to Always Talk and Roll. We discuss life, the universe, and everything through the lens of autism, because autistic, so it's kind of the shtick. Anyway, today I thought maybe we should talk about silence. Because that's what you want to hear someone who cannot stay on topic for long yammer about. Silence. So, I live in an apartment complex. There are 8 buildings. I'm not even sure how many apartments per building. I think it's like, there's well over 100 apartments here. There are so many people and the walls are thin. There's no insulation between apartments, up, down, side. I've seen inside my walls. They repiped this place a few months after we moved in, so I've seen everything. I went to the emergency room because of that. Anyway, there is no way to block the noise. There's a cat upstairs. It's not a big cat. I can hear every step that cat makes. I know when any of my neighbors has an unbalanced load. I know when they wake up because their alarm clocks go off. I know when they get up. I know when they shower. I know when they're in the bathroom for any length of time. I know that I talk with my hands and mess my own sound and tilt my camera around occasionally because hands. I know too much about people that I don't know anything about because I am a hermit who does not talk to people. For real, so. It's never quiet here. Like, never. So for the 7 years I've been living here, I have been filling up the space with sound. Be it like TV, movie, YouTube videos, streaming and documentary, records, 8-tracks, CDs, just MP3s, anything. If it makes noise, we've probably had it on at some point in time so that I don't have to listen to the rest of the building or anything in the parking lot. Does it work? Heck no. I know for a fact that the kid downstairs spent the entirety of 2020 watching nothing but The Office for literally the entire year. I could hear it every single day. All day long. Couldn't tell you which episodes, but I always knew when a new one was starting because he never skipped the intro. Ever. Which is a little bit impressive now that I think about it, but it was very, very irritating. Anyway. I miss silence, I think. And I hadn't really thought about it, though. Because the one thing I've been I've been cognizant of the whole time that I've been here is that, well, for one, I'm not a good apartment dweller. I may have spent most of the last half of my life in various apartments all over the eastern seaboard, but I am not really an apartment dweller. I'm not a urban, suburban dweller. I need to live in the middle of nowhere. And maybe one day that'll happen. There's just, I like it when it's quiet. I like not being disturbed, which is pretty rich coming from me because I will disturb other people because occasionally I just have thoughts that come out and pollute other people's silence, and that is something that I'm working on. But realistically, I need silence. We all need silence. It's all well and good to fill up our space with like fun tunes and stuff, and I mean, like, we all know that like ADHD hits us in different ways. Pete is a more physical bouncer, like to the point where We have a no motion carry mattress, and it's still like magic fingers if he's like jittery and in a mood. It's amazing. I am a I need like a 4/4 beat, gotta keep it going, gotta just it's my chaos is in my brain. His is not in his brain, but his is also physical manifestation. I'm rarely the physical manifestation. So acknowledging that like it's a need of mine, but also that I also need to slow down, clearly, because I've been fighting bouts of exhaustion the whole week last week where I couldn't have a day without sunglasses on. Um, which I mean, I super light sensitive every day, but like that was really light sensitive for me. Um, and just like sleeping and a bunch of other stuff. It's clear that like while I don't have a lot going on, I need to do whatever it is that I'm doing differently because it's causing some sort of stress, I guess. I don't know. I'm not great at admitting emotions to myself all the time, so that was a really fun therapy session earlier this week. But so silence. Last week during my light sensitive, just cave dwelling times, and I couldn't obviously watch anything, and I wanted to read, but like that was a terrible idea. But I needed to distract my brain, and I couldn't. There was no silence. There's no silence here. So I listened to a rainstorm on YouTube with headphones on, and that was calming. And here's the thing. I know that I like rainstorms. I like the sound of rain. It just never occurred to me that it would be calming. I don't do ASMR stuff, generally speaking. I have a hard time with just audio anything. I need a visual or I can't pay attention. Um, but and most ASMR makes me itchy all over. It's not calming or soothing. It's I would like to take a shower and then just to like be alone. But so rainstorm, that was nice. But then I got to thinking about just like how that wasn't quiet, but it's the type of not quiet that's still soothing. And then so even when I started to feel a little bit better, I still just kind of, gave myself some time to just listen to rain. So once I could finally like look at a screen and was up for a little doom scrolling, stumbled across a Mr. Rogers quote, as we often do, because in times like this in the US, Mr. Rogers, being one of those comforting figures from many of our childhoods, generations of childhoods realistically, he, you know, one of the formative figures, definitely my original favorite show. I was raised almost strictly on PBS because we didn't have cable or anything like that. We just watched what we got over the air, and our antenna spun on ours. We had PBS from 3 different states. It was great. So, lots of Mr. Rogers. And like I'm talking, I was in high school coming home and watching Mr. Rogers, Arthur, and anything because we didn't have it was either that or watch a soap opera. And you're not always in the mood to see if Luke and Laura are gonna get married again. I don't even know if they're still on General Hospital, if that's a thing, but like I saw at least one of their weddings, and my parents were in college when the first one happened. So, okay, we're just gonna walk away from that tangent while we're here. Silence. This is about silence, and I'm failing miserably at being silent, but that's not what this was about. Mr. Rogers, that's where this was going. Okay, so I'm sure we've all seen the quote floating around. And if you've never watched Mr. Rogers, I highly recommend it. I think we all still need Mr. Rogers, no matter how old we are or whether or not we were raised by this man. But there's a quote floating around from an interview that I think was even maybe after the show had wrapped. But it was, I don't think we give that gift anymore, the gift of silence. I'm very concerned that our society is much more interested in information than wonder, in noise rather than silence. How do we encourage reflection? And like, I've seen the quote floating around, I've watched the whole interview multiple times, but it kind of struck me that, I mean, he's right. He's usually right. He's Mr. Freaking Rogers. He's generally right about things. But he's right about silence. He's got others where, you know, he acknowledges that people are uncomfortable with silence. And they are. And I definitely am one of those people who is uncomfortable with silence. But it's my uncomfortableness with silence isn't about me. It's about my own brand of social anxiety. Like, am I doing this right? Am I filling up enough space? Am I being social? Am I saying the right things? Have I peopled well enough today to make someone think that I was truly a part of this conversation? I am so bad at socializing. It's any conversation I have is going to come back as like a violent flashback later on in the day. It's so frustrating, and I'm working on handling that. Work in progress. I mean, we all are. We all should be. Realistically, nobody's perfect. We should all strive to be better than who we were yesterday. Though yesterday I was a pretty chill human being, so, maybe if I just strive to be as chill as I was yesterday, that would be like a great starting place. Yes. But I guess silence does encourage reflection. But when I started to actually think about silence, the places that I have embraced silence the most, and even when it doesn't feel like silence is something that I've embraced, especially the last several years, all of like my happy places are places where it's quiet. It's where I can just go sit on some rocks and stare at the water, or when I was a kid I'd climb a tree, and I'd probably still climb a tree if I thought that that was a good idea and had any trees worth climbing. I'm only 4'11". Trees are still, like, climbing a tree is still kind of a big deal for me, especially as I get older. She says, like, she didn't use Sortic 60 feet in the air as a High Ropes Adventure Guide. It was more than 7 years ago now, though, so, like, it's been a hot minute. If I climbed a tree, it would be scary and impressive. I'm tangenting myself. But, like, hiking when I was a kid, or, like, the fact that I was always up so much later than everyone, and up so much earlier than everyone. I've always sought out silence, I think. I just haven't thought of it that way, that, like, I do need the quiet. And I don't necessarily need to fill up my space with sound. So now my goal is to figure out how, because I don't have any control over the noise in this area. Like, before 7 o'clock this morning, our dumpster had already been retrieved and brought back. It was a very loud operation. I don't get to pick. I'm pretty sure the recycling dumpsters are getting picked up soon, and that just means I'll get to spend an hour listening to them getting picked up and dropped and picked up and dropped, because there's two, picked up and dropped just over and over and over again until we think that they're done, and then they'll finally be done, and then Before the end of the day, they'll be completely filled up with people's unbroken down cardboard. Break down your boxes, people. Okay, we're not gonna get mad at everyone for being terrible at recycling, but they are, and they're lazy. Mostly. Okay. Let's not get mad about that. Let's not get mad about the lack of silence, because yesterday was a quiet day. Right now is generally quiet for the most part. I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop there because Thursdays are noisy, and there's definitely something going on next door. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, and I don't want to know. I don't need to know. Not my life, not my circus, not my monkeys. And it's way, way quieter than it ever used to be next door, because the situation that used to live next door was infinitely worse, and I'm still processing that. So how does one maintain their sense of peace and silence in a thinly walled apartment? I don't know. Would love to see your suggestions. Noise canceling headphones, yes, totally an option, except for I cannot turn the noise canceling function on because I will then get vertigo, and I don't like the dizzying nausea and having to crawl. I've got a lot of carpet, do not want the rug burn, and also, like, yeah, no, I don't want to do that. I feel like that's fair, right? Um, I'm filming this on a Thursday morning, and I could have filmed it all day yesterday, but like I said, yesterday was so quiet. I didn't open up my laptop. I didn't turn on the TV. I think the TV went on at like 10 p.m. so we could watch Hogan's Heroes because we're old. And we watch MASH and Hogan's Heroes like every other senior citizen out there, apparently. Or lots of people. I know lots of people that love MASH, so. But it was so nice. I couldn't bring myself to break the silence and have and just even, did I talk out loud yesterday? Sure. I am literally incapable of keeping completely silent, and I know that. And so does everyone around me. But it was so nice to just have silence. So again, I'm trying to figure out how I can, like, I'm not going to stop filling my space with music and just having things on in the background. But how do I encourage more pure silence without giving myself vertigo? That is the key here. Because again, don't want that. I haven't quite figured it out. This is a new thought for me, but I felt calmer since I started trying to tame down my external noise influences. Yeah, we'll phrase it like that because I don't know how else to phrase it. Um, and I feel like it's a good move. So now I just have to figure out how to keep. I don't want to say keep calm and carry on, because like no, but yes. But I just, how do I maintain the silence? I don't know. It's, I don't know if it's possible. It probably isn't, but there has to be something that I just haven't thought of in the last 7 years, right? Because I'm not a linear thinker. There's all kinds of things that don't occur to me at first. Like, once my car battery was dead and I could get into my car, it was like 22 degrees outside, and my AAA had lapsed, and Pete was going to come and give me a jump, but he had to come home from work, so he had to drive like almost across the state to come help me. And even though I was in a lit train station and I was in civilization, which I'm not usually when I break down, and there were restaurants and stores all around me, I sat in my cold, dark car in a sleeping bag, waiting for him to come, because it did not occur to me that I could have just gone across the street into the pharmacy and waited. And it didn't occur to me for like a week and a half after, until a coworker was like, "Why didn't you just go wait in the store?" And she didn't believe me that I didn't think of it. She's also the coworker that helped cause the whole reason I quit my job. So maybe we just were never meant to be compatible. I don't know. But again, not a linear thinker, and that was a whole tangent no one needed. Sorry. Silence. Try and find some. See how you feel about silence, because I kind of forgot about it. I don't know how one can forget about silence or the concept of silence, but as Depeche Mode said, enjoy the silence. It's okay to be alone with your own thoughts. It's okay to be alone and quiet with someone else's thoughts. We don't have to fill up the space. Space is totally acceptable. And I feel really hypocritical saying that because, again, this does not turn off. But I'm working on it. Best I got. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Try and find some silence or some peace or just that thing that makes your internal craziness calm down. And when all else fails, just don't forget to chuck and roll. If I climbed a tree, it would be scary and impressive.